Hello, and welcome to this theater talk for Oedipus after Sophocles, directed and adapted by Robert Icke. My name is Jason Jacobs. I am a teaching artist with Roundabout Theater Company.
And my name is Susanna Stahlmann. I am also a teaching artist at Roundabout Theater Company.
And we are here today to totally geek out about this production because we are both really excited.
We are both very excited about it.
Yeah.
Okay, Jason, tell me, what is this play about?
Well, let's start with the original play. It is an adaptation of a Greek drama, Oedipus.
Yeah.
We're going to use that pronunciation because this production from London uses Oedipus, and so it's a little bit different than maybe the way Americans have said it. Mm-hmm. But in Sophocles' play, Oedipus is the king of Thebes, which is like a city-state in Greece. There's a plague, and everybody is sick. All the people, all the farm animals, the whole countryside is kind of languishing under the plague. So he does what you did in those days. You consult an oracle.
Of course, yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
What do I do? And the oracle tells Oedipus that the former king, Laius, was murdered and the crime was never brought to justice. And so until the killer is found and brought to justice, the plague will continue. And so Oedipus, of course, being a good leader, publicly states, I will set out, I will find this man and I will bring him to justice. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I think for many people who will have read this play in school or have seen it, you know what happens.
It's a tragedy.
It's a tragedy.
It's a tragedy.
It's a tragedy. He doesn't like what he finds.
No.
We'll leave it at that. That's the original play. And maybe before we talk about the adaptation, I'm curious, did you study it or work on it in school?
Yes, definitely. So in undergrad, we studied the Greeks in theater history class, and the class above me also did Oedipus, a production of it. And I have to admit, I found the Greeks really hard to relate to. The translations, the language, the staging of it, often honestly a bit boring. And so, yeah, that was my experience. Did you have experience?
Yeah, very similar,
Okay.
very similar. I also read it in undergrad, and it seemed sort of foreign. And I do like the sort of mythological basis of the Greek plays, but the dramas they're hard as plays. And I really found that when I got to grad school as a director, and we were in a class where we were working on the Greeks, and I was trying to direct these scenes. And I hate that my work was boring, but it was because it's so formal, the translation of the language, these long speeches in verse, the chorus. What do you do with the chorus?
What do you do with the chorus?
What do you do with the chorus? So I also had sort of my struggle with it when I tried to do it. But fortunately, what we've got now is an adaptation.
So the adaptation is a new one by Robert Icke, who is an award-winning writer and director. He's based in England, where he was born and educated. And he's brought several productions to New York. He did 1984 on Broadway in 2017. And then in 2022, he brought the Oresteia and Hamlet, a large-scale productions that were done in Rep at the Park Avenue Armory. He does the time-held tradition of adapting an old classic and placing it into a contemporary context. Oedipus, our protagonist, is a politician, and it's an election night. And he has just given his last speech to his voters. And he says he promises to uncover the death of a former leader, sound familiar, and to give out his birth certificate.
His own birth
His own birth certificate, yes, that's right. Because his opponent believes it is false.
Also sounds familiar.
Also sounds familiar. So he is surrounded by his family to celebrate this election night when an oracle comes in. And now this oracle, Tiresias, has a prophecy which he doesn't really like. And the story unfolds from there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a political thriller.
It's like a political thriller.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you excited about?
Well,
I have things, but what are you excited about?
So I'm so excited because I saw that Oresteia that Icke directed at the Park Avenue Armory. I actually saw it twice.
Wow.
It was so thrilling I had to go back.
And how long was that show?
That show was almost 4 hours
Okay,
runtime.
wow. And you saw it twice?
I was riveted every minute, both times.
Okay, amazing.
Okay, and I think what it was like this same adaptation here. It felt really contemporary, the characters looked and talked and behaved like recognizable people in a modern, contemporary, recognizable situation. There was none of that kind of foreignness or formality to it. So you really believed this was happening, but at the same time, there was this whole other level that was mythical and archetypal and primal and ancient. Yeah. There was this sense of, you felt the ancient level of it there. And so I felt like I was watching this story happening on two levels at the same time. And I think that's what really invites this audience into this, because you could come in and just watch it for the adaptation. You can just watch a really exciting, thrilling political thriller that's gonna kind of have twists and turns and surprises. And as you said, even if you know the story, the twists in this version are different. But you can also watch it if you know the original, or if you even know the myth. You're sort of seeing both stories happening on top of each other at the same time. So that's kind of what really excites me to see it. I know I will see this one at least twice.
Sure.
What are you excited about mostly?
I'm really excited about the cast. Leslie Manville just won the Laurence Olivier Award for her portrayal as Jocasta in this production. And a shout out to my friend Sam Brewer, who is making his Broadway debut as Tiresias. So overall, the acting is going to be really extraordinary. And I watched Leslie Manville's acceptance speech, and she talked about how they spent a lot of time building up the complexity of the relationships.
Yeah. And I think when you talk about the acting and what Icke as a director does with his actors, and creates a situation where they can create performances and relationships that feel really real. He's made this into like a family play.
Definitely.
In a way that the original isn't. And for like, what I notice is the character of Antigone, who was the daughter of Oedipus, and Antigone has her own play in Sophocles, right? But in the original plays, you never really see the two of them together, in this sense that this was a family that this happened to. And here in this version, I think you really get that. And so
she's very present.
Yeah.
And the complexities of those relationships, so that the love, the truth of their love really comes through.
And makes it more devastating when you kind of find out the truth of the story. The elephant in every room that I'm in right now, as we talk in the fall of 2025, is this historical moment that we are living through and what is happening in our world today. And every class, every art room, every art space I'm in, it all comes back to like, what is going on, and how does the work we're doing here matter and have impact in this moment that we're living in? So I'm thinking about how this play is going to resonate for audiences now. How do you think?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It really, for me, this play really illuminated the nuanced difference between truth and knowledge. Okay, so for example, at the beginning of the play, Oedipus has a self-held truth about himself as a father, a husband, and a politician. When the oracle comes and he acquires new knowledge about himself, that truth shifts.
Right.
And we are in a time where, as individuals and as a community, we all hold our own truths. And there are facts that we can choose to look at and choose to ignore. And what we choose to ignore comes back in the end. And that is what I find so interesting about this play that is, as you said, 2,500 years old. And we're still telling it. Robert Icke still wants to adapt it and make a new version of it because it is still so relevant.
These thematic questions are still really with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, I totally see that. And then the other thing that I think is that I look at the Greek plays, and I think a lot of what they were also about were coping with the feeling of terror, of powerlessness.
Yeah.
As a human being in a world where things feel out of your control.
Definitely.
The forces that are driving our destinies are things we cannot kind of control. And it's something I'm feeling more and more in my daily life. And I think more people are. So I think there is something about the theater and the ability to come to the space together as a group. I imagine all of these seats behind us are going to be filled with people watching the story on this stage that we're sitting on right now, and getting to go through that together, getting to kind of maybe have what Aristotle talked about, catharsis.
Catharsis.
Right? The reason for a Greek drama was to bring a community together to watch a story and have this communal catharsis together. And the possibility of that, I think, is comforting, maybe even healing right now.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about the production, you can check out the Upstage Guide at our website. And we thank you for joining us. We're going to be camping out in our seats here.
Absolutely.
And so we'll see you at the theater.
See you there.